Live from the CSI Baseball Complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet welcomes you into NCAA Division II baseball coverage on the ECC network. In tonight's non-conference matchup, the College of Staten Island Dolphins take on the Adelphi University Panthers. Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe Foreman, alongside my broadcast partner, Nicholas Pavona. And Nick, we have a rare matchup today, which sees two teams in different conferences facing off for the fourth time in the same season. The Dolphins currently 2-1 against Adelphi. The Panthers look to even that season series against the Dolphins here tonight.
And they're certainly looking for some retribution, Joe, after what happened the last time these two teams met. And you and I may agree with this statement. That game for the Dolphins maybe kick-started what has gone on for the Dolphins these last couple weeks in terms of conference play. The Dolphins with a 21-5 win over Adelphi back on March 18th. And since then, the Dolphins have had their conference games in the season. And, Joe, they have put themselves into a position to maybe make the playoffs this season for the first time in the Division II era. 6-6 in the East Coast Conference standings. But, of course, this being a non-conference matchup here tonight doesn't affect the Dolphins in terms of standings, but with some big conference games upcoming this weekend, the Dolphins would certainly like to get a win tonight before heading into the weekend for some big matchups.
It has been quite some time since the Dolphins have taken the field. The last time the Dolphins played a game was all the way back on April 4th against Mercy University. That was part of a doubleheader. They split those games on April 4th against the Mavericks. They also split two games here on April 3rd. That may have been the best doubleheader we've ever covered. Both teams erasing deficits of 7 runs or more to come from behind and win a game in the first 2 games of 4 between the Dolphins and Mavericks. Looking forward past this game just a bit, you said it, a lot of very important conference baseball left to be played, and those games that the Dolphins will play against the ECC the rest of the way include 4 against Stack and 4 against the Uville. We'll talk a bit more about tonight's matchup and those games following the playing of the national anthem.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials. Check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
And we are back from the CSI Baseball Complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island for tonight's non-conference doubleheader between the College of Staten Island and Adelphi University. Once again, Joe Foreman on the call alongside Nicholas Pavona. And Nick, before the break, we mentioned that it's been a long time since the Dolphins have played. This game had to be moved back to give the team some time to get the field ready. We weren't sure this game would be played at one point due to inclement weather in the area. It's turned out to be a beautiful night for baseball, and this is a game that you feel like the Dolphins really had to get in. You don't want to go into a huge conference series against St. Thomas Aquinas having not played in almost 2 weeks. I think it was important to get this game in. The team clearly felt the same way. They made a lot of changes to the schedule to get it in, and we get underway at 5 p.m., maybe a minute or two behind that, but a very important game that the Dolphins are playing tonight, even though it won't reflect in the conference standings.
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier on. The Dolphins' first game since back on April 4th when they had that doubleheader at Mercy, that one being a split of a doubleheader. But we also mentioned as well that doubleheader that we called back here at the baseball complex against the Mavericks, and you mentioned it. Probably the best doubleheader we have covered in the history of our time here on the ECC Network in the Division II era. I think, what was it, combined 54 runs combined between the two teams in that one. Really outstanding performance. But we had mentioned it as well. Adelphi coming into this game, Joe, looking to play spoiler for the Dolphins. They're trying to even their record this season at 17-17 with the victory, and as well as even the season series this year at 2 games apiece.
Panthers losing 2 of 3 to the Dolphins this season. However, the game they did win came against Dolphin starter Francesco Bonvini down in Myrtle Beach. In that game, Bonvini, who gets the start tonight, went 4 innings and allowed 6 runs on 4 hits, walked 5 and struck out 3. His first pitch of the night misses down and away for ball 1. James Eden at the plate to get things started for Adelphi.
Eden early with a 1-0 count here.
And that is chopped over to third. Weigel has to wait for it. Throw across the diamond in time. 1 away in the first.
Bonvini got a little dribbler down that third base line, and not an easy play for Weigel at third. You mentioned it had to wait to field it and then make that quick, strong throw, and he did so in time, and quickly one down in the first inning.
That will bring up Giancarlo Rengifo. He gets the start at third base for the Panthers tonight. And that is sent foul into the right field corner, out of play. But, Nick, this is the second night game we're covering this year. We have not covered many in the past, and this is the second time that this game will end under the lights. Comes the 0-1. That's fouled off again.
I believe this is my third night game of the year here.
I missed one?
Yeah. I called one with Sam. I think that was the Bloomfield game.
Right. I was here, though.
Yes.
Not on
you were in the vicinity, just not on the
I made a
microphone.
cameo for about 2 minutes. As Rengifo was hit by the 0-2 pitch.
Yeah, that was a very quick inning, I remember. I think you got on, and it was a 5-pitch inning, and the Dolphins got out of it that quickly.
It was a very short-lived cameo for me on that particular broadcast, but it was a good night for the Dolphins. Picked up another non-conference win against Bloomfield on that night. At the plate now, Jack Tate, designated hitter for the Panthers. They have a 1-out base runner. And Tate bloops one into shallow right field. That is down for a hit. Getting a great read on that ball was Rengifo. He stands at second. Thought about taking the turn, but he holds up. And the Panthers quickly have 2 on.
Not an easy play out there in right field for Keogh. Had to try to keep it, at least corral it towards himself and keep it in front of him, because otherwise Rengifo could have made it all the way to third base. And by him at least keeping it in front of himself, he was able to hold him at second. But early trouble for the Dolphins here in the first and second, and still just 1 out.
And that brings up Joe Pellegrino. Pellegrino, the starting first baseman for the Panthers tonight. And he offers at the first pitch and hits it well out to right center field. And that ball is out of here. It is a long opposite field 3-run homer for Joe Pellegrino. And that puts the Panthers in front early. It's 3-0 Adelphi.
Well, start to this game for Adelphi, Joe. A quick 3-0 lead. You have the hit by the pitch, that blooper into right. And sometimes they say it, a bloop and a blast does the trick for your team. Adelphi with an early 3-0 lead over the Dolphins.
That ball carried very well out to right center. I don't think he needed much help on that swing, Nick, but you can see the wind blowing in that direction. And that's as long of an opposite field home run as we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, and that's the one guy on this team, Joe, that you do not want to have with a runner on base. Pellegrino going into that bat had 8 home runs and 31 RBIs. He adds to his total right there.
Give him his 9th home run and 3 more runs batted in as the Panthers quickly jump out to an early 3-run lead. And you mentioned what the Dolphins did to Adelphi the last time these two teams met. You can be sure the Panthers haven't forgotten about that. As that's taken up and in. And very quickly, it's a 2-0 count on Matt Ryan.
Of course, not the quarterback.
That thought crossed my mind every time I called one of his at-bats in Myrtle Beach. And he hits one well out to straightaway center. But Palomini's right there to make the catch.
Good bounce back right there from Bonvini getting that out. I think now that's going to be his mindset going through this game. Already trailing by 3. Have to at least keep it within reach. A long way to go in this one, obviously, being in the first inning. But have to give your offense a chance as this game goes along to try to tie or take the lead at one point.
I was about to say it before that last swing, but speaking of Matt Ryan very quickly, he was 3 for 4 with 4 runs batted in during Adelphi's win over the Dolphins at the Ripken Experience. Had a really nice game in Game 2, helping the Panthers bounce back from a loss in Game 1. At the plate here, Jack Wishner, and he's quickly ahead 2-0.
Wind's starting to pick up a little bit.
It is very windy outside today, and any wind in the area is only magnified here on campus.
I think you can tell by our camera as well behind the backstop. It's kind of moving a little bit.
Don't tell me that now.
Well, just because of the wind.
Yeah, but if that thing goes down, we have no camera.
That's true.
That ball gets down as Waterman couldn't chase it down. We have a hat rolling around on the infield. Waterman's down on the outfield grass. And
things are flying.
The wind wreaking havoc on that play. It looked like Waterman had it, and the wind just kept carrying that ball away from him into the left center field gap. He couldn't get there on the dive.
Yeah, no chance right there. He made a great attempt, give him all that, but just missed it off the dive, and it extends the inning for the Panthers right there with that double.
I'm not sure there's anybody in the complex who thought off the bat that was going to require a diving attempt. But you hit the ball up into the wind here tonight, and anything can happen. Definitely something to keep in mind. And Bonvini's first pitch breaking ball is in for a strike. Anthony Rigogliosi at the plate. Bonvini checks towards second and delivers the 0-1 outside, 1-1.
I mentioned early on the Bonvini trying to avoid giving up any further runs in this inning. Already has given up the 3-run homer. And a base hit right here could bring home a 4th run of the inning for Adelphi.
Comes the 1-1. Breaking ball in the dirt, 2-1. Bonvini looks towards second once again ahead of the 2-1. And that misses high for ball 3.
Keep in mind, Joe, Bonvini really hasn't thrown that many pitches in this inning. Just Adelphi's got some good swings so far. A chance to get a walk right here.
It's 3-1 now. And that catches the corner. Full count, 3-2.
First one we've seen today after a bunch of them happening at softball.
We had, I would say, at least 10 full counts in the early softball game. 3-2. Outside for ball 4. And Bonvini issues the walk.
Panthers trying to get some 2-out magic going here. Already have 3 in the inning. Double and now a walk right there. Keeps this inning going. And now Bonvini will try to at least get this final out. But another extra base hit could bring home 2 more runs.
This third out, a big one for Bonvini. Big difference between giving up potentially 5 runs in the inning with an extra base hit and just the 3. And we've seen it in his past starts. When he's struggled, it's been a lot of self-inflicted damage with the walks. In this inning, he had a hit batter as well. Bonvini again looks towards second. And that just missed. 1-1. At the plate here, C.J. Picone. Behind him, the number 9 hitter. That's Eric Dugnan in the on-deck circle. And then it's back to the top of the order. And that breaking ball's in for a strike, 1-2.
Well, after having that 21-run outburst in that last game the Dolphins played against the Panthers, I mentioned it earlier, the Panthers definitely wanted some retribution. They have a chance to bat around this inning, but now a 1-2 count.
Comes the 1-2. Chopped right back to Bonvini. Underhand toss to first in time, and that will do it for the Panthers in the road first inning. But not before Joe Pellegrino puts Adelphi ahead by 3 with a towering 3-run blast to right center field. The Panthers strand 2, and they lead it 3-0.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials. Live music. And the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dine-in order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Home first inning from the CSI Baseball Complex, where the Dolphins trail Adelphi University 3-0. Chris Palomini will lead off for the Dolphins. We'll get you the rest of the CSI lineup following this pitch. Palomini takes out of the zone, ball one. Behind him, Jack Kehoe, A.J. Vigliotti, J.J. Hunter, Jaden Waterman, Vincent Weigel, Michael Flashner, Chris Bartnick, and Nico Rodriguez. Palomini looks at a breaking ball outside, 2-0.
Dolphins facing a rare left-handed pitcher on the mound today. Don't see that very often when we have these games here at the baseball complex.
And that's lined into left field by Palomini for a base hit. He greets Bobby Molinaro with a line drive to get things started for the Dolphins in the home first. And that will bring up Jack Kehoe.
Well, Joe, he got into a nice hitter's count, early 2-0 count. Found a nice pitch right down the middle and drilled it into left field for that leadoff single.
Left matchup here. Kehoe against the lefty Molinaro. Palomini, as always, a threat to run at first base, and Kehoe takes high for ball one.
We've talked about so many times this season, Joe, what Kehoe has done at the plate. A sensational year he's had, leading the team in batting average with a .348 batting average on the year.
And the 1-0 is in for a called strike, 1-1.
And of course, we know Palomini's numbers as well in terms of base stealing. He's 10 for 13 on the year.
Jack Kehoe, a multiple-time East Coast Conference Rookie of the Week, both for his work at the plate and on the mound as he hits one in off the hands back into center field for a base hit. And the first two Dolphins have reached here in the home first.
You mentioned he kind of got tied up on that pitch, and he was still able to just get it softly up the middle for a base hit. And just like that, Joe, back-to-back singles now give the Dolphins the tying run at the plate. And certainly a guy that's capable of making the game tie with one swing in A.J. Vigliotti.
No doubt about it. We've seen Vigliotti's power on full display this year. Had a 2-home-run game and very nearly made it a 3-home-run game.
That third one would have tied the game.
Off the bat, he thought he had it. We thought he had it. And here he grounds one to short. And wisely going the short way with that was Wishner, as Palomini is forced out for out number one.
You mentioned the good heads-up play by Wishner going to Renhefo at third base to get that first out. A huge first out, but Dolphins still have the tie run coming up to the plate. It'll be now J.J. Hunter.
J.J. Hunter, another Dolphin with a lot of power, and we spoke about it. I'm not sure we had covered a game where a Dolphin had hit multiple home runs before this season. Three Dolphins.
In one game.
Three Dolphins hit multiple home runs in one game as Hunter lines one to left. The wind carries it toward the gap, but staying with it to make the catch was Rigo Gliosi for the second out.
Well, Molinaro, Joe, now after that start of the inning where he gave up 2 straight singles, has gotten back-to-back outs via one pitch. So he's now 1 out away from escaping this early danger. You have to Jaden Waterman to try to keep the inning going for CSI.
You will take that if you're Molinaro, and it's left to Jaden Waterman. And Waterman takes down and in ball 1. Kehoe, the runner on second, Vigliotti at first. And Waterman fouls that one away, out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Molinaro on the season is 0-1. He's pitching his 8th appearance of the season, his 3rd start. Looking for that illustrious first win of the year, and already with a 3-run lead. He's got an early chance to do so, but the Dolphins right here, as I mentioned, have the tying run.
The 1-1 sails up and away, 2-1.
I have lost the grip on that one, on that off-speed pitch.
Looked like a breaking ball that slipped out of his hand a bit. Here comes the 2-1. Swing and a miss, 2-2.
He went right back to that off-speed pitch on 2-1. Got Waterman to swing out in front. Now it counts even at 2.
Looked like he fooled him a bit with the off-speed pitch. Molinaro now 1 strike away from escaping the first unscathed. 2-2. Swung on and missed once again. Waterman goes down swinging, and that will do it for the Dolphins in the home first inning. A couple of hits in the inning for CSI. They strand a pair, and we are through 1 from the CSI Baseball Complex. Adelphi leads Staten Island 3-0.
The Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Second inning from the CSI Baseball Complex. Number 9 hitter for Adelphi, Eric Dugnan, will lead things off, and behind him, it's right back to the top of the order for the Panthers.
Very strong first inning for Adelphi. You mentioned it. 8 batters came to bat in that first inning for the Panthers, and they go 9-1-2 to start this second inning.
Dugnan quickly ahead 1-0 here. And he looks at ball 2. Swung on and missed.
Big swing and miss right there from Dugnan.
He's still ahead 2-1. And he swings and misses once again, 2-2.
Back-to-back swing and misses thrown right there by Bonvini after a 2-0 count. Now works it even, looking for that strikeout.
Comes the 2-2. That's it on the ground. Slowly taken by Weigel from third, and he makes the throw in time to retire Dugnan.
Not an easy play again for Weigel at, having to go over towards short basically from his third base position. That slow dribbler, but just got it in time. And one down in the second.
Off the bat, I thought that was trouble, Nick. I did not think they were going to have time without charging that ball, but nicely done by Weigel. It was hit just hard enough as that's bunted high toward the Adelphi dugout. Heads up in there.
Yeah. Edie with a very interesting bunt, the way he laid that one down. Had a lot of air on it, as you mentioned, and went towards the dugout.
Eden 0 for 1 at the plate in this game. He grounded out his first time up, and after that, Adelphi put together a 3-run first inning, and it came rather quickly. Hit batter, base hit, 3-run homer. Did not take much time.
I mentioned it in that first inning. Bonvini didn't throw necessarily a lot of pitches. Adelphi just got some good swings.
There's a chopper to the left side. Flashner from deep in the hole won't have a chance. And it's an infield single for James Eden.
Yeah, not an easy play. That basically looks similar to the previous play as well, Joe. That one had a little bit more speed on it, and Eden was able to go down that first base line and get an infield single. And it's a 1-out base hit for the Panthers.
That will bring up the number 2 hitter, Giancarlo Rengifo. Rengifo was hit by a pitch in the first, came around to score on the Pellegrino 3-run shot. And he takes a strike.
Dolphins certainly don't want to have Pellegrino come up again, Joe, with runners on base. So very imperative for Bonvini right here to get some outs.
Comes the 0-1. There's a chopper to short. Flashner's only play is to first. And the throw is low and scooped by Vigliotti.
And I think they said he came off the base, Joe.
Really?
Yeah.
I did see the motion. I don't know how he came off the base there.
I don't know if the replay would do it any justice, but I noticed that as he was scooping the ball, his foot did come off the base for a second. He tried to get it back on in time, but to no avail. It's tough to tell from the replay.
And it looks like Vigliotti went and got a new glove.
Yeah, he just changed his first base glove.
Well, next year, there is the possibility when we have good weather that we might put a camera down the line, which would follow the action. Whether that's the ball, the runner, it would be up to the camera operator's discretion. But that's definitely on the table for next year, as that's hit well out to left, straight into the wind. And fortunately so for the Dolphins, as Tate is retired on one pitch. And Nick, were it not for the wind, I think that might have been big trouble.
Would have been certainly big trouble there, Joe. 2 gone in the inning, but now this is a big out for Bonvini. We saw what happened last time he faced Pellegrino with runners on base, that 3-run homer. Really needs an out right here to avoid any further damage.
This is probably as big of an at-bat as you can have in the second inning of a 3-run game. 2 runners on, 2 outs, a hitter who took you deep in the first. You do not want to let him double your deficit right here. Bonvini looks towards second and delivers. Inside, ball 1. I thought for a moment Pellegrino was headed toward first.
You have to think that Bonvini will maybe try to pitch around him in a sense to try to make him force him to chase something and get a strike that way.
It's 1-0. And again, he comes inside and misses 2-0. Matt Ryan in the on-deck circle. The 2-0 is We have a loose hat on the infield again, and that pitch misses for ball 3.
You know, we see loose hats happen during the play. I don't think we've ever seen one before the pitch was thrown.
It is exceptionally windy tonight.
Second time Rodriguez has already lost his hat today.
It is very, very windy. The 3-0. Misses for ball 4. Well, they wanted no part of Pellegrino there, and you really can't blame them after that swing in the first. But another hitter who's done some damage against the Dolphins this year, and Matt Ryan, comes to the plate now.
Ryan flew out his first time around. So this is, again, another big at-bat. You mentioned how pivotal that last at-bat was this early in this game. Bonvini really needs it out here, or else it could be early trouble for CSI in this game.
3 for 4, 4 RBIs for Ryan in the first meeting, 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs and 3 walks in the third meeting between these two teams. You can hear the wind howling.
Yeah.
We are in effectively a big glass box behind the plate, and we can hear the wind through the windows.
Wasn't that bad when we got here originally, too.
Well, it's ferocious now as Ryan is quickly in a 2-strike hole.
Bonvini now a strike away from getting out of this damage and at least keeping it a 3-run game heading into the bottom half of the inning.
Bases loaded, 2 outs for the Panthers. Here comes the 0-2. And that's hit out to right. Kehoe coming in, won't get there. Plays it on a hop. And he will hold on to that ball, wisely so, as 2 runs come in to score. 2 more RBIs for Matt Ryan against the Dolphins as he delivers a 2-out, 2-run single.
You mentioned Ryan's numbers this season, Joe, against the Dolphins. And once again, adding to that total right there with that 2-run single, Bonvini was strike away from getting out of the inning and unfortunately gives up the 2 runs right there. And now an early 5-0 lead for the Panthers.
We've seen what the Dolphins have done lately in terms of run production, what they've done against Adelphi this year, but you'd prefer not to have a repeat of what we saw against the Mavericks, where you fall behind by 7 and then have to fight your way back.
To the Dolphins' credit, you mentioned they did fight back in that game. They did go on to win that game.
Yep.
And keep in mind what happened in Game 2 of that doubleheader. The Dolphins had a 9-run lead, and unfortunately they went on to lose that game in a very wild fashion.
And that's lined into shallow left center field for another Panthers base hit. And it gets through Palomini. That will afford both runners an extra base. 1 run comes in to score on the RBI base hit by Jack Wishner. And it's now 6-0 Panthers.
Panthers just delivering some big work so far in this game, Joe. Another base hit right there, adding to their now 6-0 lead in this game. And that error as well in center field allowed both base runners to move up. So now 2 runners in scoring position, here still with 2 outs.
Pellegrino came in to score there. With the error, Ryan goes from second to third, and the batter, Wishner, went from first to second. As that pitch is taken outside for ball 1 by Anthony Rigogliosi. He drew a walk his first time up. Bats here with 2 in scoring position.
7 hits now for the Panthers in this game.
It's been a rocky start for Bonvini as the half swing results in a called strike. Francesco Bonvini is coming off his best start of the season. Perhaps his best as a Dolphin. He went 10 innings in a game the Dolphins lost as that swung on and missed for strike 2.
I thought it was a typo at first when I saw that stat with the 10 innings.
I can tell you where there was a typo. There was a game where one of our opponents on the road had him at first base. Had to go back and dig deep to make those changes, but we made it happen. And I did it without the game file. I did it all through a text editor. That was no fun.
No.
Comes the 1-2. That's outside.
Doesn't sound like fun, I can tell you that.
It is certainly not fun, but I do not own a Windows computer, which means that any changes I make to an XML file have to be done through the text editor on a Mac. At least if you're scoring on StatCrew, which we are. The 2-2. Swung on and missed for strike 3. So Rigogliosi goes down swinging, and the Panthers strand a pair, but not before they bring home 3 more. 7 hits for Adelphi through 2 innings. Dolphins come to bat in the home second, trailing 6-0.
campuses nationwide, the NCAA is making transformative changes for student athletes. While they pursue their biggest dreams, we're launching new initiatives to help them. Life-changing education opportunities are just the start. The NCAA is providing enhanced mental health services. We're guaranteeing scholarships and tuition and expanding access to healthcare. Visit ncaa.org/change to learn more.
Bottom of the second inning from the College of Staten Island, with Vincent Weigel leading off for the Dolphins. CSI in an early 6-run hole, but Nick, we've seen this before. We've seen them come back before, so be sure to stay right here on the ECC network as that's taken outside for ball one.
That last game we called, game one of that doubleheader, the Dolphins you mentioned were down 7-0, had a 6-run second inning. And keep in mind, I mentioned it at broadcast, the Dolphins did all that work with 2 outs in the inning. So never say never with the CSI team.
Certainly do not say that. And there's still plenty of time left in this game. I think the big question mark with this game is how much do you extend your rotation to try and win it? Obviously, we know the Dolphins have action at the bullpen right now. We just looked that way. But are you going to run out some of those top bullpen arms to win this game when you have a game coming up in just 48 hours?
It's tough because, you have a game in 48 hours, as you mentioned, but those are big games because, it's the start of your last 8 conference games of the season. Then you have a doubleheader right now scheduled for Saturday, and then you have that game on Monday as well.
That's chopped towards short, handled cleanly, and Weigel is out to begin the home second. But to answer my own question, Nick, I would be inclined to say they are not going to extend the pitching staff very much in this game. But maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. I think we see Gerard Santos getting warm now. Gerard has not been starting recently, so it's not surprising to see him up in the bullpen. But do I think that they would bring on Jack Kehoe to potentially close this game if it got close? Probably not.
Yeah.
Though you could pitch Kehoe realistically today and Thursday, especially if it's an abbreviated outing of just an inning or two. But that's something to keep in mind as this game progresses. Michael Flashner at the plate here, and he takes the 0-1 pitch outside.
Keep in mind, with the long rest this team has had, 11 days, as we mentioned, since their last game, all their pitchers have to be well rested by this point. But with a lot of games coming up, you want to make sure that you utilize those arms to the best ability in the next couple weeks.
The good news for the Dolphins is that the way their schedule is structured, you basically have a choice of whoever you want to use in any given conference game. It's not like softball where sometimes you're playing 2 days in a row,
right,
and you really have to manage one day for the next day. Baseball, you have to do that over the course of a 4-game series, but you can really plan out that series, and if things go according to plan, which admittedly it doesn't sometimes, but if it does, then you have a game plan going in as that's chopped toward the middle, diving stop at short. Strong throw, scooped at first, and a great job there on the infield by Adelphi. Wishner over at short, and Pellegrino making the scoop at first.
Yeah, can't ask for much better right there. Wishner makes the diving stop, threw it to first, and Pellegrino with a nice scoop at first base as well. All around great defense for the Panthers to get the second out of the inning.
Nice play there by the Adelphi infield for out number 2, and that will bring up Chris Bartnick. And Bartnick takes outside for ball 1.
A second look at that last defensive play by the Panthers. Not an easy one up the middle. But Wishner, as we mentioned, going down to get that ball. Made a nice throw to first base.
That's fouled away by Bartnick, 1-1. The 1-1. Swung on and missed. One, two. Bartnick just got a piece. Speaking of conference games and planning ahead, there is a lot on the schedule this weekend as Bartnick has to dance out of the way of that pitch, 2-2. But right now, inclement weather that is, looming for the weekend. We are currently scheduled to be on the air Friday and Saturday. Softball taking on Queens here on Friday. And then both baseball and softball are in action on Saturday. Softball against Malloy and baseball against Stack. Could be some movement there. We'll see.
Saturday, of course, for softball, senior day at the softball complex.
And to my surprise, as that's it out toward left center, and charging in to make the catch on the move was Eden. But to my surprise, I thought softball was playing today. They pushed that back to tomorrow. So softball faces DeUville tomorrow, off Thursday. They face Queens on Friday. We'll talk more about that when we come back.
That's a timeout on betting. It completely changed the game, and you didn't even notice. Let me break it down for you. Betting ads are applying full court pressure and getting you to play the game. Many of you are falling for it and losing big money. Addiction is happening in some more than others. Now players are getting harassed by bettors. And we all know that's not how the game is won. So it's on us to be good teammates and draw the line to stay ahead of betting consequences.
Third inning from the CSI baseball complex begins with a foul ball. C.J. Picone, the batter. Panthers leading the Dolphins 6-0.
We mentioned that last time, and Gerard Santos was warming up in the Dolphin bullpen, but Bonvini is back out there for the third inning.
You'd think that if he runs into trouble again, that would spell the end. As we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Bonvini did face Adelphi earlier this season. That pitch misses 2-1. in that game, Bonvini struck out the first 2 batters. After that, the Panthers went on to score 5 first-inning runs on just 1 hit.
Yeah, Bonvini worked into some trouble that game. I believe had 5 walks in that matchup with the Panthers early on in the season.
I said it earlier. It's been self-inflicted damage as he walks Picone here, but when he has not hurt himself with walks, he's been good, and that's been the difference. Whether or not he is putting men on via the free pass, there have been some hard-hit balls in there, but it is mostly walks that have really hurt him.
An early walk issue to start this 3rd inning.
Eric Dugnan at the plate here. That's in for a called strike. To put it into perspective, statistically, in 26 1/3, Bonvini's allowed 20 hits. He has walked 22. His batting average against is 2nd best on the team, 206. That tells the whole story as he hits a batter here.
Yeah, just like you said, self-inflicted wounds. Hopefully for Dugnan's sake, he doesn't have a wound being hit by the pitch on that one, but we'll have to see now how far Bonvini goes in this inning. Hasn't allowed a base hit, but early 2 base runners, and it's back to the top of the lineup.
Now, without me saying it, would you happen to know which Dolphin has the best batting average against?
Depends on qualifier, I guess, right? Because I was a Keogh.
Assume everyone.
Keogh.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Very good. 172.
I didn't know what the qualification was in terms of how many innings he has to throw.
If we're being technical about it, the only qualifying pitcher is Ryan Kehoe.
Right.
You have to have 1 inning pitched per game, and the Dolphins have played a lot of games. That's slowed down the last couple of weeks, but early on they played a lot of games. As that's chopped to the right side, and it's booted. But they do get the out at first. Good recovery there by Rodriguez. It does take away the chance for a double play, and the Panthers now have 2 in scoring position with 1 out. And coming to the plate is Giancarlo Rengifo.
Would have been a tough double play if the Dolphins had a chance to get it right there, but they are at least grateful that they do get the out at first. But as you mentioned, now 2 runners in scoring position as the Panthers looking to extend this lead.
Rengifo, 1 for 1 at the plate in this game, takes inside.
It's been kind of a common trend these last couple of at-bats for Bonvini. He's gone inside. We saw him already hit a batter already in this inning.
Comes the 1-0. Line foul. That's exactly why you take your lead in foul territory. That was really close. Before the break, we mentioned the upcoming conference schedule. And we'll talk about that a bit more in just a moment. Long look in from Bonvini here ahead of the 1-1. There's a half swing offered on and missed by Rengifo. But for baseball, 8 conference games left. We've spoken about it already. But I think we crunched the numbers, you and I, and we've come to the conclusion that the Dolphins can make it. Winning just 3 are very likely to make it if they win 4.
Yeah, if they at least take half of those games, they should make it with ease. As the pitch clock went off.
And they called the balk as he stepped off to avoid the pitch clock violation. Now, was that a second disengagement or a balk?
They balk.
Balk.
Another self-inflicted wound, unfortunately, for Bonvini right there.
Comes the 1-2. In the dirt, 2-2. I think that's the first time that we've seen a violation either directly caused by the pitch clock or indirectly all season. They have not called the pitch clock violation more than once, correct?
Yeah.
We've seen 1.
Yeah, as I say, I think we've only seen the 1 now, a wild pitch.
That gets through to the
Leads another
backstop. J.J. Hunter behind the plate for the first time in a while in a game we've covered.
Yeah.
And that one got through him. It's now 8-0 Panthers.
Keep in mind, Joe, these 2 runs still coming without a hit in this inning. You mentioned the self-inflicted wound that's really hurt Bonvini in this one.
The Panthers do have 7 hits in this game, but the damage would be far less were it not for the free passes. There's a swing and a miss there by Rengifo, and he strikes out for out number 2.
That might be a lead to pitch change there, Joe.
And we'll see here. There wasn't a motion to the bullpen yet. And I don't believe they're making a pitching change here.
No.
It's a conference on the mound for the Dolphins.
You can just hear the wind.
Yeah, Mike Morrow made a very brisk walk out to the mound there. The wind is howling right now.
Yeah.
Once the sun goes down, it's going to get chilly out there. At the plate here, Jack Tate. He's 1 for 2 against Bonvini in this game. 2 outs, bases empty for Adelphi, and that is lined straight to Nico Rodriguez. Pitcher's best friend, Nick, the 1 pitch out. And that'll do it for Adelphi in the 3rd. 2 more runs come home for the Panthers. They now lead the Dolphins 8-0.
NCAA athletes don't just compete, they make history. Representing our nation with pride and excellence, they bring home the hardware. Our college campuses serve as training grounds for the next generation of stars. Catch tomorrow's Olympians and Paralympians on the NCAA Championship stage today.
And we're back for the home 3rd inning, where the wind continues to wreak havoc. It looks like the wind forced the outfield gate open. And they have somebody behind the fence working on it right now.
They're still trying to close it.
But they are continuing with play here. Imagine you have to kneel there and hold that gate the whole game.
Wouldn't recommend that to anyone.
That would be the most undesirable job on the game day staff, without a doubt. Nico Rodriguez leads things off for the Dolphins. He has a 1-1 count. Behind him, it's back to the top of the order as he takes a breaking ball in the dirt, 2-1.
She mentioned 9-1-2 for the Dolphins in this inning. Now an 8-run deficit in this game, Joe. A very tough last inning for Bonvini. Did not allow a hit, but a hit by a pitch, a walk, Then a balk even as well, allowed to run in another wild pitch as well. Now give the Panthers an 8-0 lead here in this bottom of the third.
Rodriguez is quickly ahead 3-1. And we mentioned it, the Dolphins were down 7 against Mercy and came back. And that just catches the zone, 3-2, but they'll need another comeback here tonight. It's been a run of some good baseball for the Dolphins, and you mentioned it, Nick. It really began to turn around with that big win against Adelphi as Rodriguez lines a base hit into right.
Well, Dolphins hoping that can kickstart something, Joe. Their third hit of this game as Rodriguez gets on with the leadoff single. Dolphins hadn't had a hit since back when the first two batters got up to base, which was Palomini and Kehoe. Now Palomini comes up for the second time here today as Dolphins try to get that first run.
Dolphins, including that game against Adelphi, in their last 12 are 6-6. Currently 12-22 on the year as Palomini takes inside ball 1. With the leadoff man on, top of the order at the plate here, this is the inning where you need to start chipping away. Palomini takes a called strike.
And we mentioned that game, too, that doubleheader. Palomini, multi-homer game. Bigliotti, multi-homer game. Hunter, multi-homer game. So this is the spot on the line the Dolphins really need to have that going if they want to get back into this one.
And that's lined to right for another Dolphins hit. Back-to-back singles for Rodriguez and Palomini. And the Dolphins have 2 on for Jack Kehoe.
Oh, remember, this is how the Dolphins started that first inning. They got back-to-back singles to start the inning. Now they need to make sure they can get something going on this one. They weren't able to capitalize that first time around. Let's see if they can do it now with Kehoe coming to the bat. With first, second, still nobody out.
Kehoe already 1 for 1 at the plate in this game with that last base hit. Palomini's now 2 for 2. A.J. Vigliotti, the man on deck. And all of a sudden, the Dolphins are beginning to threaten a bit here in the third. Kehoe takes ball 1 outside. Molinaro working very quickly on the mound.
He's wasting no time.
Pitch clock won't be a factor for him as that's blooped on the infield. And the Panthers let it fall. Now, I was a bit surprised they didn't call the infield fly. Not hit high enough?
I don't think it was high enough, yeah.
Yeah. That's a split-second decision for an umpire there. And you and I last night were at Yankee Stadium. There was an infield fly in that game, which prompted us on the ride home to take a look back at one of our favorite calls ever. And still, I think for me anyway, in a game I've called, the infield fly call in that particular softball game is the worst call I've seen in person. It was a fly ball to shallow right field. It wasn't that close to the infield dirt, and it was ruled an infield fly.
It looked very similar to what happened in a MLB playoff game back in Atlanta. I don't remember the exact year, but it was the exact same type of situation.
And Vigliotti hits one well out to center into the wind. That ball carries, and that ball falls at the base of the fence. 1 run in to score, and they are waving Kehoe home. Throw to the plate, not in time. It's a 2 RBI double for A.J. Vigliotti. And the Dolphins are on the board. It's now 8-2.
Well, Joe, I mentioned it. If you want to have a spot in the order to get back into this game, this was the spot you wanted. You at the top of the order coming up. You got 2 singles to start off, and then a big hit for Vigliotti into deep center field. Nice base running from Kehoe going from first to home. And the Dolphins now get themselves onto the scoreboard, and now it trailed this game 8-2.
Much needed base hit for the Dolphins in that spot. You could not afford to come out of this inning empty-handed, trailing by 8. And the middle of the lineup begins to do its job. Vigliotti with a 2-run double, and that will prompt the conference at the mound for Adelphi. No signal yet to the bullpen, but there is some stirring out there. It will be J.J. Hunter at the plate when the action resumes. Another power threat, but Nick, I think that ball was misjudged just a bit by Eden because of the wind. He broke in. The wind carried it over his head. On a day where it's calm, that's a well-struck ball, but I think it's an out.
Yeah, and I think, obviously for Vigliotti, we don't see him very often hit it to deep center field that often. And he crushed that one to center field, but you mentioned the wind definitely played a factor into that play. And the Dolphins were the beneficiaries of that base hit. Now getting into this scoreboard, now making this 6-run contest. And if Hunter can get a base hit right here, can maybe kickstart something for the Dolphins in this inning and keep this game going and keep them within.
Hunter to the plate. Vigliotti in scoring position, 1 out. Dolphins back to within 6. Our score 8-2. First pitch on its way. Low ball 1.
I mentioned for Molinaro, this is only his 3rd start of the season. His 8th appearance of the year. So hasn't had many starts. Trying to make the most of it here, get out of this inning now after giving up 2 runs.
That pitch misses high, 2-0. The 2-0. Outside, ball 3.
That's definitely a cause for concern of your Adelphi right there. That one missed very badly on the outside corner. He's in danger of walking Hunter here on 4 straight.
Here comes the 3-0. On the corner, 3-1.
And if you remember that game as well against Mercy, Joe, the Dolphins, 4 of their top 5 were the reasons why they got those RBIs in that game.
And there's a line drive right back up the middle for a base hit. And give that trio another run batted in here as Vigliotti will score standing. Moving up to second on the throw is Hunter. And he delivers an RBI single to make it 8-3.
Hunter just continues his monster campaign to his freshman season, Joe. He's had a great freshman campaign this year. Another RBI added. His last couple of weeks, maybe even month if you want to go that further, has been great for this Dolphins offense, moving into the cleanup spot now and making this now a 5-run game.
And how about our scoreboard operator? First time scoreboard operator Louis Matrone throwing up the batter and the hit error scoring.
He's showing off.
Our pitch clock operator couldn't do that.
He was not happy with that comment.
He was booing Lewis.
Or was he booing you?
He was booing Lewis.
Okay.
Comes the 0-1 to Jaden Waterman, and that was awfully close to an extra base hit.
I didn't see the initial call from the home plate umpire if it was fair or foul.
It was very close.
Judging by the way the fielders were, I gave the indication right there.
Well, everybody knew it was foul except us.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, our angle is not centered. We are to the left of home plate just a bit. Comes the 0-2, and Waterman strikes out as they complete the putout with the tag. 2 away.
That's the second time Molinaro has gotten Waterman to chase something in the dirt with a strikeout. So it'll be up to Weigel now with 2 gone to try to bring home Hunter from second base.
Just seems like Waterman is not seeing that off-speed pitch very well out of Molinaro's hand. And now, as you mentioned, it's left to Vincent Weigel. Dolphins really could use a base hit here. And with that, they'd be halfway back. Our score 8-3 here in the 3rd. And that breaking ball misses ball 1.
Going back to that game as well, I mentioned the top half of the order was the reason why the Dolphins were in that game the way they were getting RBIs. Palomini had 5, Keogh had 1, Vigliotti with 7, Hunter with 2.
Misses outside 2-0, and we go back now. That particular game was played 12 days ago.
Yeah.
And that is the second most recent outing for the Dolphins. They played the Mavericks again the following day. Not often you go 11 days, early to mid-April, without a game, as Weigel takes low ball 3. Michael Flashner would be next. Here comes the 3-0. That's called strike. Three 1. Hit in the air, foul territory, and into the seats. right off the folded tarp.
Got a nice little bounce.
It's 3-2 now. That's in the dirt for ball 4. So Weigel draws the 2-out walk, and the Dolphins now have 2 on for Michael Flashner.
And remember, Flashner was robbed that last time he came to the plate on that great play at short. So that was by Wishner. So Flashner would like some revenge right here. Try to extend the inning for the Dolphins once again, and if he can, would bring the tying run to the plate. Well, almost to the plate.
You'd be one batter early there.
Just about early. Seeing a lot of numbers at this point this week.
Flashner takes ball 1. He's the 8th man the Dolphins have sent to the plate in this inning. 1-0. Hit toward the opposite field, and it hangs up there long enough for Rigogliosi to make the catch. Dolphins strand 2 here in the 3rd inning, but they strike for 3 runs. They cut an 8-run deficit to 5. Our score, 1/3 of the way through, Adelphi 8, Staten Island 3.
In NCAA Division II, student athletes leave a lasting impression on their communities. That's because Division II student athletes want to make a difference and truly be part of their surrounding communities. Through community engagement, thousands of student athletes from various backgrounds interact with community members who view them as role models. This interaction leaves a positive and perhaps even life-changing impression on all those involved. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
Joe Pellegrino will lead off for Adelphi in the 4th inning. The Panthers' lead cut from 8 down to 5 as the Dolphins will have a new pitcher entering the game, and Gerard Santos. His first pitch missed down in the dirt for ball 1. They've been trying to have him get things right as a reliever, and he's yet to recapture what we saw from him last year to this point.
And we saw what happened in that last game that we called, Joe. That was that game that we mentioned earlier on where the Dolphins had the 10-1 lead. He's looking for some redemption here, but has quickly fallen behind 3-0 against Pellegrino, who's already done some damage here tonight.
Well, we mentioned the issue for Francesco Bonvini, a lot of self-inflicted wounds throughout his outings. In the case of Santos, it's been a combination of an incredibly high batting average against and some command issues. Opponents hitting .410 against him, and he's given up 50 hits and 26 in the 3rd. As this pop-up is called for and not played. So I thought Weigel made the call. Flashner was in the area. Santos couldn't find it, and the ball was lost with the wind carrying it across the infield.
That's one you don't want to have back against a guy like that in Pellegrino.
And that goes down as another hit allowed by Santos, too. When it rains, it pours. You have a bunch of hits like that, and that number can become inflated very quickly. But we said it during the first inning. After one ball was hit into the air, the wind is going to be a problem defensively tonight, and we've seen it impact both sides. If you can put the ball in the air, you have a shot.
And for Santos, Joe, you talked about those. He's also had some self-inflicted wounds going back to that last start, or I shouldn't say start, but his last relief appearance.
As it grounded to short, and no chance there for Flashner on the backhand. He deflected it into left field, and that will allow the runner on first, Pellegrino, to go first to third. That's going to be a base hit for Matt Ryan, his second of the game. And the Panthers now have runners on the corners.
And that's just another one where even if Flasher is able to scoop it, there's no chance he gets a play at second, probably even first base as well. But with it bouncing off of, it looked like his glove, it went into left field and allowed Pellegrino to go from first to third. So that play to start the inning, that pop-up, really coming back early to bite the Dolphins. They are trying now to keep this game within reach, but are in danger of giving up the 3 runs they just got back in the previous half inning.
The Dolphins will play the infield at standard depth here and hope for the double play. The corners in slightly. Vigliotti at first holding the runner on, and Weigel at third did have his toes on the grass. He backs up a bit in line with the bag. Jack Wishner at the plate behind 0-1, and they'll check on the runner over at first.
Going back to that original point I was making about Santos, that last game, Joe, 3 hit by pitches in that outing against Mercy.
A good stop there by Hunter on a breaking ball well out of the zone.
That's been a problem for him all year. 12 hit by pitches on the season for Santos.
Pickoff attempt once again. Now, we weren't sure if they were tracking it, but apparently they are. So that's the last disengagement. We've seen a runner moved up via disengagement already, unless I'm mistaken. As that's lofted out toward right center. Nobody in the area. That's down for a base hit. Palomini tried to play it with the bare hand, comes up throwing, and 1 run will come in to score. You think that goes down as a double, or
double? The
bare-handed attempt takes it away. It's going to be a double for Wishner. 10th hit of the game for Adelphi. Joe dropped a syllable from Anthony's name. Anthony Rigogliosi. Unless that's the Italian in him knowing better than I do. Could it be silent?
Yeah, had some French flair his last time out.
That was...
I know. We already discussed it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We'll have to pose the question to the audience at home.
I forgot what name it was.
I know what name it was. Is that's hit in the air a mile high.
Yeah.
Could be some trouble in the wind again. But this time, the catch is made by Weigel. 2 gone. Make that 1 away. But
I know the name for here. I'm talking about the name at softball. Do you remember what name it was?
Oh, no. But
that's how it got brought up.
Let's start here. So, in conference play, the Dolphins faced Queens College. They had a Matt Phillip on the roster, F-I-L-I-P. And Joe decided to put some French flair on it, Matt Philippe.
We didn't disagree with it completely.
I disagreed completely. I'm like, what is this man doing?
There wasn't a pronunciation.
Couldn't help it.
I don't think there was a pronunciation guide for that one, at least. For his name, at least. And the reason we brought it up at softball, I had to look back at the name. But Sam Whalen, who was doing public address for us this week, had done the same thing for someone's name. I just don't remember what the name was.
I only hold it against the PA announcer if there was a pronunciation guide. Joe did not have one.
Yeah.
The 1-1. In for a strike. C.J. Picone at the plate here. He's behind 1-2. This is a big out for Santos. If he can get this out and perhaps limit the damage to 1, That would be a huge swing as he will step off here. Long look in ahead of the 1-2. That's popped up. Who's got it? Rodriguez. 2 away.
Should I add a graphic for how many times he's lost his hat today? It's 3 now.
When a hat is lost, you better retrieve it quickly because the wind is not playing any games.
Yeah, you could lose it easily.
You could end up with a hat down in the visitors' bullpen very quickly if you're Rodriguez in that situation.
We see softball players sometimes without the hats when they're playing at the softball complex, and Rodriguez thankfully was able to retrieve it. Otherwise, they would have had the same situation here.
So Santos will face Eric Dugnan, the number 9 hitter. He's 0 for 1 at the plate in this game. Still 2 in scoring position, now 2 outs. This is a really big out for the Dolphins in order to stay in this game. As the 0-1 misses inside, 1-1.
I remember what the name was.
You got it?
It was Deanna.
Oh.
Because, yeah, that was the common mistake. I remember that now.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, we found out in Florida that we had been saying her last name incorrectly. We won't say the incorrect pronunciation again, as that's chopped foul, but it is pronounced Du Bois. To be fair, though, anyone who looks at that name will pronounce it as we did.
Yeah.
So
that's how the whole thing with Joe, with Philippe, came up when we
Right.
talked about it at
Right.
softball.
1-2 the count. And Dugnan strikes out. So Gerard Santos bounces back from a tough start to the inning. He strands a pair, but the Panthers do get 1 run back. They lead it by 6. Our score headed to the home 4th. Adelphi 9, Staten Island 3.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials, check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
Chris Bartnick will lead off for the Dolphins in the home 4th inning. Dolphins trail the Panthers 9-3. New pitcher in the game for Adelphi as that's chopped to third. And Bartnick is retired on 1 pitch. That was awfully close. But a first pitch out for Jacob Lee out of the Adelphi bullpen.
Well, what better way to come out of the bullpen? Get 1 pitch, 1 out for Lee. to start off this fourth inning.
That will bring Nico Rodriguez to the plate. This is where the third inning started for the Dolphins. Rodriguez led things off with a base hit. 3 runs came in to score for the Dolphins. At the time, that cut it to a 9-3 Adelphi lead, make it 8-3. Panthers got one back to make it 9-3.
And if you look at how that inning went for Santos, Joe.
That one skied out to right, carrying pretty well in the wind and barely able to reach over his shoulder and make the catch was Picone. And once again, you hit it into the wind, you have a shot.
Yeah, Picone almost misread that one. Just able to make the catch at the very last second to make that second out. But, for CSI, it's for Santos, you got to give him credit at least for this, Joe. Did give up the run in that last half inning, but it could have been way worse. Was able to work out of trouble and keep this game within reach for CSI.
Well, if you take away what ultimately gets scored as an infield hit on the pop-up, he's out of it.
Yep.
So that's something to keep in mind as well. Chris Palomini hits one a mile high up into the wind. Who's got this one? And once again, it's Picone. Dolphins go down very quickly. 1-2-3 in the fourth. We head to the fifth. Adelphi leads 9-3.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials. Live music. And the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dine-in order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Fifth inning from the College of Staten Island begins with ball one. Top of the order due up for the Panthers, Eden, Rengifo, and Tate. Second inning of relief for Gerard Santos, and he now has a 1-1 count.
We see action up the Dolphin bullpen as well. The Dolphins are hoping that Santos can give them a couple more innings of work, hopefully, as they try to get back from the 6-run deficit.
That's hit in the air toward left center. Palomini there, and he makes the catch for the first out.
Good start to the inning and that fly ball in just 3 pitches. You saw the Dolphins go down quickly in that last half inning. As Rengifo now comes up with 1 away.
First pitch, swung on and missed, and Rengifo was way out in front of that breaking ball.
Definitely expecting the fastball on that one.
0-1. In the dirt.
I was very worried when I arrived here, Joe. Earlier today, I was starting to lose my voice after.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, after last night's Yankee game. I didn't know if I was going to be able to call this game today.
A lot of home runs.
There were a lot of home runs.
Out now 1-2.
You and I, the last couple of weeks, have just seen a bunch of home runs, whether it's on the air or off the air.
I've probably called more home runs this season than I have in any season prior.
Yeah.
And it's not close.
Yeah.
I think prior to this season, I probably called less than 20 home runs. This season alone, I've called at least 10 to 15. And I've called 5 Chris Palomini home runs at least in 2 games.
Yeah.
In a week there, I called
it was crazy
9 Dolphin home runs. Did we have 4 players with 2 home runs in that game? Did we have a Maverick as well?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think we did.
I think we did too. I'll look. I'll
check it right now. I think we did. As that's fouled straight back.
Like I said, that game was an anomaly. You'll never see a game like that happen very often.
Never say never, Nick. We talked about this.
That's also true. That's also true. So we had 1 from Nisco, 1 from Hesselberg, so it was 1 for each of them.
All right, so Nisco's 2 home run game was the other game.
Yes.
Or did he have a 2 home run night? I think he had a 2 home run night.
I think it was a 2 home run night. Yeah,
right.
He had 1 in each.
Right. So in that doubleheader, how many home runs did we call? In game 2, what did we have there?
So
8?
there was 1 in game 1. In game 2, you had 2, 4, 6, 8. So 9 total that night.
Nick, I'm not sure I called 9 home runs in a season before this year. To be fair, I missed a few games last year. I've only outright missed 1 broadcast this year. That's pretty good for the spring.
Yeah.
Things get really busy around this time. Start of my arena football coverage is on April 26th, but it will not interfere with those games unless they get pushed back. As that misses high, and Jack Tate draws a 2-out walk.
Of course, depending on what the weather situation is for Saturday, we'll have both baseball and softball. I believe we've already confirmed you're going to be at softball, and I'll be here at baseball.
Weather permitting.
Depending on the weather, yes.
Weather permitting, I will be behind the plate at softball doing stats and the broadcast. However, I'm not sure that the weather will permit.
Right.
If the weather does not permit, I'm doing the game from the window of the press box. That's going to be tough.
It's going to be interesting.
There'll be no pitch count on the live stats, and it will just be each play put in as it happens. We'll have to have the scoreboard operator radio me substitutions from behind the plate.
Yeah.
It will be tough. It'll be tough.
As the old saying goes, there's a first time for everything.
The good news is that for our substitutions, it should be easy.
Yes.
I wouldn't have a tough time with us. I would have a tough time with the visitors, not knowing who's who. Generally, I can look at who comes out of the dugout, and without seeing the number clearly, I can figure out who it is.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it plays out. If the weather is shaky on Saturday, I could see a situation where baseball tries to play Friday, but that remains to be seen. If that happens, it's basically no Lou, and we have to reconfigure again. So, we'll see what happens. That's grounded to short, and the throw goes to second. That will do it for the Panthers in the 5th. Adelphi strands 1, but they lead it by 6. Adelphi over Staten Island 9-3.
The Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Jack Kehoe will lead off for the Dolphins in the home 5th inning. CSI trails 9-3 as Kehoe takes outside for ball 1.
Dolphins finally, Joe, were able to get their first scoreless inning pitching in this game. Now can they get some runs? So they still trail by 6.
That's taken for a strike by Kehoe, 1-1. We're at the midway point of this game, 4.5 in the books. One on the corner for a called strike 2.
Quick first inning of relief for Jacob Lee through 5 pitches in that 4th inning.
That's chopped toward the middle. Throw goes to first in time. And there's one away here in the home 5th.
Had to make a quick throw right there. We know Kehoe's capability of going down the baseline and just getting him out of first base. Nice play from Dugnan, and there's now one away.
That will bring up A.J. Vigliotti.
And, Joe, we were mentioning this the last time during one of our breaks, but I went back to look at Vigliotti's 7 RBI night that he had back against Mercy in that game. We looked at the record books. That ties him for 5th in Dolphin history in a single-game performance with 7 RBIs in just one game. He beat his previous mark when he had 6 back against Malloy in 2023.
There's a called strike to Vigliotti. So we mentioned the conference standings a bit earlier and what we thought the Dolphins would need to do in order to secure a playoff spot as Vigliotti hits one to straightaway right, carrying well. But the catch is made in right field. Once again, the wind playing tricks on Picone out there. But conference standings, right now, both Mercy and Malloy have played 16 conference games. The Lions, 11-5, safely atop the conference. Mercy at 8-8. The Dolphins are 6-6. Deauville is 4-4. Queens 3-5. The Dolphins hold the tiebreaker over Queens. That's big. And then Stack 4-8. If they could secure the tiebreaker over Stack, if they win 3 against the Spartans, they are almost a lock to get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Almost a lock.
It's the old term. They're in a position to be in a position right now.
Obviously, that is far too close to comfort.
I was grinning just for a second of the way that foul ball was hit.
Yeah, far too close for comfort to the camera there.
Yeah.
But if the Dolphins can take 3 or 4 from the Spartans coming up this weekend, they put themselves in the driver's seat where I think it's a sure thing. They need just one more win. And that might clinch it at that point.
If they are able to do that, we could see it here when they face Deauville.
The best that Queens can do in the conference is 11 wins. So if the Dolphins get to 10, in all likelihood that would be enough because the best the Knights can do is 11. The Dolphins hold the tiebreaker. So the Knights would have to go perfect if the Dolphins win 4 games. As that diving catch is made in left field, the wind knocked that ball down, and a great job to stay with it and make the play on the dive by Rigo Gliosi. Dolphins go down 1-2-3 in the 5th. They still trail 9-3. Sixth inning from the CSI Baseball Complex. And the first pitch from Aurelius Vendrell is in for a strike. Second time we've seen Vendrell here at home this year. That outing also his lone outing, a game that we covered. And he has an out against Matt Ryan on an infield ground ball to second.
We saw Gerard Santos do some good work out of the bullpen. We'll see if Vendrell in his second relief appearance of the season can do some good work as well.
Well, as we said earlier, Nick, it's unlikely that the Dolphins would use their top bullpen arms today, but they give Gerard Santos a couple of innings, and that second inning was one of the cleanest innings we've seen from him this season. And I think that's a big reason why he came out of the game. Get him out of the game coming off a clean inning, preserve him in case you need him, likely in a long relief appearance against the Spartans. I think that would be the likely scenario where we see him, or perhaps they give him a start. As that pitch hits Jack Wishner right in the numbers, and he's on with one out. But if you had to project the starting four for the Dolphins entering that series with Stack, do you think they go with Bonvini again? Do you think maybe they give Santos a start? Because I think you're definitely going to see Kehoe first, Martinez. I think that's a sure thing.
Yeah.
Who gets that fourth game as the pickoff attempt goes awry into the Panthers bullpen? That's out of play in the tarp. Wishner moves up to second, but who do you think gets that start in the fourth game?
It's tough. It's really, I'm looking at the numbers right now. You said Martinez already.
Well, you know Martinez first and Kehoe are getting a game each.
Yes.
So it's basically between Bonvini and Santos for that final game.
Do you think about Keelty?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Aiden Keelty started early in the year, and we've seen him more out of the bullpen recently.
Yeah.
When's the last time he started?
Was it the call? May have been the Malloy game on the 22nd.
He pitched in back-to-back Queens games.
I think those were relief appearances.
Shippensburg, maybe? Did he start that game?
He started against Malloy, I can tell you that. So I think it was.
So
Malloy.
he hasn't started since March 22nd.
Yeah.
His early outings were all starts. He started 5 games. And those were his first 5 appearances.
Do they go to Michael first, maybe?
Well, we said first, Kehoe and Martinez are all getting a game.
I got mixed up when you said first by saying, I can see you can see the confusion where I got with that. Okay.
Count 1 ball, 2 strikes here.
Yeah, it's tough. I think you look at Keelty maybe as an option. You can look at Bonvini obviously as an option as well. Maybe even go to Santos as well. He looked pretty good in the relief appearance so far in this one. So the question would be, do you try to stretch him out and go back to where he was earlier on in the season and back to being a starting pitcher?
I think what you do, I think if you win the first 2 games of the series, you probably would you hope, a lot of the time what the Dolphins would do, they would run out John Esposito in the 7-inning game.
Right.
As that swung on and missed for strike 3. So they would save him for the 7-inning game. Now, that was a different time when in conference play, you would play a double 9 and 7 and then a single 9. It wasn't a 4-game series. If I recall, I don't believe they were playing 4-game series yet when Esposito was a Dolphin. So that changes things a bit, but the Dolphins used to run their best arm out there in the 7-inning game and try and get as much length as they could. They don't do that anymore. They run Ryan Kehoe out in game 1, try and get the win. But if you've won the first 2 games of the series, I'd almost be inclined, as the runner's headed for third here and Hunter will not throw, I'm almost inclined to say you just put out the best arm you can in game 3 and try and go for that 3-game in a row. We'll call it a sweep of the first 3 games. Obviously not a sweep of the series. I think it looks a lot more traditional with the new arrangement of games, 4-game series, as that's line to left. And that will do it for the Panthers here in the 6th. They strand 1 at third, and the deficit for the Dolphins remains 6 when we come back.
campuses nationwide, the NCAA is making transformative changes for student athletes. While they pursue their biggest dreams, we're launching new initiatives to help them. Life-changing education opportunities are just the start. The NCAA is providing enhanced mental health services. We're guaranteeing scholarships and tuition and expanding access to healthcare. Visit ncaa.org/change to learn more.
Jaden Waterman will lead off for the Dolphins in the home 6th inning. Just to pick up where we left off before the break, I think in short, Nick, with the new arrangement of the conference series being 4 games, I think you run out your best available arm to start each game.
Yeah, and I talked about it to you as well. We've seen the emergence of Michael Santoriello as well these last couple of weeks where he could throw multiple innings. So if you run into trouble, at least in one of those starts, you could roll him out there to get you that long relief appearance. And that could be technically a quote-unquote start for you, even though it's coming out of relief. We know he can give you those capable innings as well.
Certainly can, as Waterman was hit by that pitch. And I think the wind ruffled the jersey into the baseball there because it didn't get him square, that's for sure, yeah. That was a glancing blow.
Yeah, the wind has certainly intensified these last couple of minutes.
Just a bit. Pitch on its way, and that's in for a strike.
Grateful the wind wasn't like this last night at the stadium. It would have been brutal.
Would have been a very chilly night.
Yeah. We saw a lot of home runs in that game. There might be a lot more tonight with the wind.
That's in for a called strike 2. So very quickly, Vincent Weigel in a 2-strike hole. Waterman on after being hit by a pitch to lead off the home 6th. Comes the 0-2. That's taken outside, 1-2.
Jacob Lee's done a good job in relief in this game, Joe, as well. Getting his 3rd inning of relief in this one.
The 1-2. And I was about to say, I heard that hit the bat.
Yeah.
But the ball ended up straight down in the batter's box. We didn't see it.
Not only could you hear the foul tip of that, but you could also hear the wind. I can imagine it's getting really bad.
It's a good thing they dampened the dirt on the infield. Otherwise, it would be Dust Tornado City out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dust Tornado Alley is more appropriate. And the 1-2 is swung on and missed for strike 3.
Looked like Lee went to a breaking ball on that pitch. Got the first out of the inning right there. Weigel goes down swinging.
That will bring up Chris Palomini. Make that Michael Flashner.
Well, unfortunately, Joe didn't know his mic is muted.
That's really funny. He's so animated, and I don't know how they don't realize that it's not on.
I will listen. I've done it before. I've had some instances where I've said
but then
it,
you realize it.
But then
start over.
Right. Then I realize it.
Like once you've started and you don't hear anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very animated.
They're having a good laugh about it
Yeah.
now.
I don't know what.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't
there.
know either. No comment. That's what I'll leave it at.
Count is 1-1 on Flashner. I don't know what's worse, forgetting to turn the mic on or
That laugh.
or me introducing the wrong batter. Lost in all that, I did say initially that Chris Palomini was coming to bat.
Yeah.
I don't know where I got that from.
I'm not sure. He's still a couple batters away.
He's a few batters away. It's 2-1 on Flashner. And that's lined to shallow left and down for a base hit. And the Dolphins have 2 men on here in the 6th with 1 out and Chris Bartnick coming to the plate.
Flasher a couple times today has hit that one the opposite way. This time he was able to get it finally down for a single. And that Bartnick comes up with first and second. All right, there we go.
Mike's on that time.
On that time. Sure, Victory Boulevard heard that one.
I could hear the music playing from the building. So I did not think you could, but I walked out the back door. You can hear it.
Yeah.
Bartnick 0 for 2 at the plate in this game. And if the Dolphins are going to mount the comeback, this is a spot where they need him to come through.
You get the sense that this is the inning for CSI to do it. If they're going to get back into this one down 6, they can't afford to miss the chance right here to get some runs.
Comes the 0-1. Outside 1-1.
You have action going up as well in the bullpen for Adelphi. Looking to see what number that is. Looks like a 3, but I don't know the second number.
We'll work on that. They have the Knox next door as that's grounded toward the hole. Stopped it short, and the throw to second is just in time. What a play. It's short by Wishner. I didn't think he had a chance to get anybody.
Did not as well. Jack Wishner's had himself a great game defensively in this one, Joe. You mentioned I didn't think he had a chance as well at second base. That was the only play he had after the diving play by the third baseman, and he had to go to second the short way. They get the out at second, and then there's now 2 gone.
And Flashner was running all the way, too, and he has good speed.
Yeah.
I can't believe they got an out on that play, Nick.
Heads up. Defensive play right there.
That was the only spot they had a chance. It's left to Nico Rodriguez, and he takes in the dirt ball 1.
Boy, would the Dolphins love for him to get on, because after him, it's back to the top of the lineup, and Chris Palomini would be batting next.
It's 1-0 on Rodriguez. He's 1 for 2 at the plate in this game. Palomini, the man on deck, the only Dolphin with 2 hits. And Rodriguez sends one toward left center, and he now has 2 hits. As Waterman comes in to score, the throw is cut off, and it's an RBI single for Nico Rodriguez. It's now 9-4.
Now, Joe, I'm going to have to ask you, does that little bobble in left field allow Bartnick to go to third?
It's a good question. That is a good question.
So it looked like he kind of hesitated towards
You'll have to run it
third.
back and let me know.
It looked like he hesitated for a second, and then the bobble allowed him to go to third base.
That would be the first Adelphi error.
I would say it is an error. He stopped initially, then saw where the ball was on the ground, and then made his way towards third.
So it's going to be an error on that plane left, and depending on where Palomini hits this one, if he's able to come through with a hit, that error could be the difference between a 9-4 game and a 9-5 game.
Right.
Tough to imagine Bartnick not scoring from second, but can't take it for granted yet, as that's fouled straight back, and Palomini's now in a 2-strike hole.
Dolphins now down 5, but now the top of the lineup coming up with 2 gone in the inning still. Palomini extended with another base hit.
Oh, 2 the count on Palomini. Runners on the corners, 2 outs. And Palomini takes outside.
I mentioned there was action going up in the bullpen for Adelphi. Originally, a right-handed reliever was up. Now they have a lefty up. So, if Palomini were to get on, very could make the case that they could go to the lefty against Keogh on deck.
And Palomini fouls that one away. Count 1-2 on the Dolphins center fielder. And that gets to the backstop. Bartnick will score. Big turn taken over at second base by Rodriguez. He will stop there. And a wild pitch has made it a 9-5 ball game. The Dolphins now within 4.
And now with Rodriguez going to second base, a chance for Palomini with a base hit to make this a 9-6 game. So a costly wild pitch right there for the Panthers.
That one certainly stings, especially if you get Palomini out here. The 2-2. Hit in the air out to right. Should be playable. The wind keeps carrying that ball toward the line, but Picone stays with it and makes the catch. Dolphins strike for 2 in the 6th. They're back to within 4. Our score, Adelphi 9, Staten Island 5.
That's a timeout on betting. It completely changed the game, and you didn't even notice. Let me break it down for you. Betting ads are applying full court pressure and getting you to play the game. Many of you are falling for it and losing big money. Addiction is happening in some more than others. Now players are getting harassed by bettors. And we all know that's not how the game is won. So it's on us to be good teammates and draw the line to stay ahead of betting consequences.
Seventh inning from the CSI Baseball Complex. And it will be Eric Dugnan leading off for Adelphi. The Panthers lead now trimmed to 4.
Another new Dolphin pitcher as well, Joe.
Andrew Azoria in the game, and he is greeted by howling winds as he misses with ball 1.
Howling is a big emphasis on that word.
I've been doing games here for a long time. I have never heard the wind quite like I have. I've seen it as forceful, but I've never quite heard it this way. And if you look around campus, I was driving in earlier, the banners featuring Genelise Alarcon, and they were strewn across the roadways.
Yeah.
They'll have to get those back up. I looked at it, I'm like, souvenir?
That would not have been a bad one. Sure, they would have liked it as a souvenir.
Azoria quickly behind 3-0 here, and he misses with ball 4.
Just like that, Joe, he walks the number 9 hitter in the order on 4 pitches, so it's back to the top of the lineup. Dolphins now making this more interesting of a game. Now a 4-run deficit for CSI in this one here in the 7th. But Azoria now with that 4-pitch walk issues now the top of the line now for the Panthers.
That's the 5th walk issued by Dolphins pitching in this game as Azoria deals a strike. James Eden at the plate. Eden is 1 for 4. And they'll check on the runner at first. The 0-1. Hit in the air, down the left field line. Fair ball. And headed for second
And how
was
about
Dugnan,
that?
and he is out.
You don't see that very often.
Well, I had to abort my headset with an incoming sneeze. The allergens being carried around in the wind, but got back just in time for that play at second, and Dugnan was unable to beat the throw. Now, how did they score that, Nick?
It's got to be a 6-4 putout.
Well, that's a fielder's
choice,
choice. It's
yeah.
not a hit.
They gave it a hit? Okay. Joe will go make sure that that is fixed over the statistician's test, but it has to be a fielder's choice on that one. So rare fielder's choice, very unconventional way of getting that fielder's choice. And Rengifo now is up to the plate. He drills that one down the left field line. Will that stay fair? Just goes foul. Rengifo looked like mere inches away from a towering 2-run homer down the left field line. And making this once again a 6-run lead for the Panthers.
Well, Nick, I leave the booth and the ball almost leaves the yard.
They got a souvenir probably down there by the soccer field.
Count now 0-2 on Giancarlo Rengifo. So they're getting to work on that.
But is
last
the hit
play?
Is the hit total still right?
The hit total is wrong.
Okay, on the board too is right. Okay,
Now
it's
it's
fixed. Yeah.
Runner headed for second, and that throw is not close. It ends up in right center field, and that's going to be an error behind the plate. Third Dolphins error of the game. Eden picks up the stolen base and will advance to third on the errant throw.
So now Eden moves up closer, gives an RBI opportunity for Rengifo here now. It's still just 1 out as the Dolphins infield will now creep in, try to prevent the run from scoring.
Infield in all around. And there's a swing and a miss for strike 3.
Yeah, you could see it right there, Joe. I think he fooled him on that breaking ball. He was not expecting it there. A huge second out recorded by Azoria.
That will bring up Jack Tate. And he takes outside ball 1.
Pellegrino on deck, Joe. You really get the sense that Azoria needs to get the out right here and make sure that the next inning, Pellegrino comes up with nobody on base.
I think you're right about that, Nick. In a game that you're trailing by 4, you do not want to give him an opportunity with 2 men on. And he may come to the plate with 1 on, depending on how this at-bat ends, but behind 2-0. And now 3-0, a walk very well within the realm of possibility.
Yeah, he's missed with 3 straight. That last one didn't look like he missed by much. Maybe it was a little bit too high. It's now a 3-0 count.
3-0 on the corner for strike 1. (3-1) in the dirt, ball 4. Well, dangerous spot here for Azoria and the Dolphins now. They need this out. They cannot afford to fall behind anymore.
Yeah.
3 innings to go, already trailing by 4. You want to keep this right where it is. And Pellegrino has a chance to get back 1 or maybe more of the runs that his team allowed in the 6th.
I'd be curious to see what they do with Tate at first base. You don't want to get caught here to end the inning. He is 1 for 2 in the season in stolen base attempts.
I think there's a really good chance he runs, Nick, and that's because of the errant throw before. There's a swing and a miss by Pellegrino.
You can tell what he was doing with that swing right there. Fooled by that off-speed pitch.
The lead for Tate at first, medium size. There's a swing and a miss for strike 2. Azoria's off-speed pitch has these hitters off balance. It's looked good.
Yeah, it's been by far his best pitch so far in this inning. I'm sure he'll go back to it here at 1-2.
That missed high. The 2-2, runner going. And the breaking ball is in for a called strike 3. Azoria sets down Pellegrino looking, and the Panthers strand a pair in the 7th. Dolphins come to bat when we come back. Adelphi over Staten Island, 9-5.
NCAA athletes don't just compete, they make history. Representing our nation with pride and excellence, they bring home the hardware. Our college campuses serve as training grounds for the next generation of stars. Catch tomorrow's Olympians and Paralympians on the NCAA Championship stage today.
Dolphins come to bat in the home 7th, trailing by 4. And that pitch misses down and away for ball 1. Jack Kehoe leading things off. 2-3-4 due up for the Dolphins.
Face Carlos Acosta to start off this 7th inning. Or is it Acosta? I think it's Acosta.
Pronunciation guide. Yeah. It is?
Acosta.
Now, technically, that is Acosta. Like the word cost. Acosta. Instead of Acosta.
I don't. Yeah, I think it's Acosta because I had my old dentist's last name was Costa.
Yeah, I think it's actually Acosta.
Okay.
Kind of sounds the same.
Yeah.
The 2-1. Though I will admit the microphone picks up a lot more of the nuances than we can hear. Though we are having our audio fed to us via the headsets. We did test some new Bluetooth microphones. I'm not quite sure these are suitable for calling a game. However, we could mic up some players, mic up some coaches.
Yeah.
That would work. We could do that next year.
I think they already use mics like that, don't they, on the field?
Well, I know our colleague in communications, Nick Durst, uses a set. He mic'd up Coach Tibbs during a basketball game. Head on a swivel there in the coaching box.
Yeah. Always got to watch out when you're at third base. Also see some action going up in the Dolphin bullpen, as well as the Adelphi bullpen.
I think that's Anthony Fusco throwing for the Dolphins as Kehoe draws the leadoff walk.
That's what you want to start the inning. Get a leadoff walk right there. Now you bring up Vigliotti, who's already had some damage in this game with that 2-run double.
A.J. Vigliotti comes to the plate here with a runner on, nobody out. And the Dolphins trailing by 4. The wind continuing to howl.
Yeah.
A precursor to a big at bat, perhaps, as Vigliotti takes inside, and now the dirt's coming up.
Yeah, I saw the dirt coming up the last half inning somewhat. Now it's starting to make a difference here.
The 1-0. Up and away, 2-0. Acosta would hate to lose him to a walk here, especially with J.J. Hunter on deck. Then you have Waterman, no relief coming up for the Dolphins. And it's now 3-0.
And I think the concern already is that he's missed badly with those last two, and they'll talk to him on the mound now as he's in danger of walking his second straight batter to start the inning.
And I think a lot of coaches would agree with me, but watching a game, I think one of the most frustrating things for a bench, a pitching coach, and a manager is non-competitive pitches. Pitches that don't remotely tempt a hitter to swing. You throw a bunch of those, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a very bad position very quickly, especially if you do it over the course of 2 or 3 at-bats.
Yeah, it's a prime hitter's count right here for Vigliotti. Obviously, it will more than likely take this next pitch and wait for a strike to be thrown. But this is, now or never pretty much for the Dolphins in this game. 9 outs to play with, down 4 runs. We talked about how resilient they've been all season. And they're trying to make another bid for another historic comeback here tonight.
Dolphins trailed this game by 8 runs. I don't believe they've come back for more than the 7.
It's Mercy, yeah.
That we saw them come back from against Mercy this year. 3-0. Up and away, ball 4. And that was not close.
Yeah. All 4 pitches on the outside corner. He didn't want to give Vigliotti anything to hit realistically. And now J.J. Hunter comes up with a very good opportunity for the Dolphins to keep chipping away into this game.
And it looks like we're going to have a pitching change. So apparently there's no 3-batter minimum.
I was going to ask you if there was.
Interesting. They introduced the pitch clock, but not a 3-batter minimum.
Yeah.
So Acosta's done. And Adelphi will go to the bullpen here. The Dolphins have the first 2 batters on in the home 7th. They are 1 batter away from bringing the tying run to the plate. Our score, Adelphi 9, Staten Island 5.
If you want to win in every arena of college life, go D2. Make it yours.
J.J. Hunter to the plate against Zach Rovner. New pitcher for Adelphi into the game. He inherits a pair of Dolphins on base. Nobody out here in the 7th. It's a 4-run game.
Certainly not an easy spot to come into. And how about that windup?
Lights have come on here at the CSI Baseball Complex.
Rovner, one of the more trusted relievers in this bullpen, his 12th appearance of the season.
Hunter quickly ahead 1-0. And he takes inside 2-0.
How many times have we seen a sidearm pitcher pitch here? Not very often, right?
Not that I can recall.
Next door, they're having a grand old talk about this.
2-0. Swing and a miss.
And when you have a sidearm pitcher like that, sometimes a pitch like that looks like maybe it looked like a slider somewhat, but it could fool a hitter, and certainly fooled Hunter on that one.
Well, maybe the delivery and the release point makes that look like it could be a strike.
Yeah.
That pitch was not close, and that was ball 3. Bit surprised Hunter didn't take all the way there. And there he looks at strike 2. Think he'd like to have that swing back, Nick.
Yeah, certainly would. He's already had a nice game here tonight. Of another base hit, another RBI.
2-2 the count. That's outside for ball 3.
Good stop behind the plate by Ryan. He's not able to stop that one. Wild pitch will allow both base runners to get into scoring position.
The count is full on Hunter, 3-2. Big pitch here. The payoff. Low, ball 4.
And the Dolphins were both running on that pitch, so no harm, no foul right there. The walk now gives the Dolphins the bases loaded and the tying run coming to the plate in Jaden Waterman.
Jaden Waterman represents that tying run. He comes to the plate here with the bases loaded and nobody out. Dolphins have slowly chipped away at what was an 8-run deficit in the 3rd inning. Waterman is 0 for 2. First pitch. Line into left field for an extra base hit. That rolls down the line into the corner. 2 runs in to score. Sliding into third base safely is Hunter, and in standing with a 2 RBI double is Jaden Waterman.
Waterman goes first pitch swinging on that base hit right there, Joe, and now makes this a 2-run game. And not only that, the Dolphins have the tying run in scoring position, and now the go-ahead run at the plate in Vincent Weigel.
And Nick, I think Hunter is a bit shaken up following the slide.
Yeah, you could see it down at third base. So, got to hope the Dolphin is okay.
I think he rolled his ankle.
Wonder if I can pick it up on the replay when I'll show it after this next pitch.
Vincent Weigel, the batter, takes outside, and now the Dolphins have the tying runs in scoring position. It was on the slide, Nick. I think his cleat may have rolled over the base, perhaps, or his spike caught the infield dirt.
It looked like it maybe went over the bag somewhat. Is he holding towards his right or his left? I didn't see initially.
I don't know.
I didn't see which one.
But he's working on that right knee, it looks like. But he's still in the game.
Question is, will he be behind the plate in the next half inning?
That's a good point. Not easy to get in your catcher's crouch on a bad knee. The 2-0 is outside for ball 3. And this inning is really beginning to get away from Adelphi here.
And they're about to start warming up another pitcher.
A lot of these pitches have not been remotely close. That's the concern right now. And when they did put one in the zone, Waterman did not miss it. The 3-0. Down and away, once again not close, and that is ball 4.
Yeah, now Rovner walking. This time Weigel on just 4 pitches. So the Dolphins now bases loaded once again. And a base hit here for Flashner will tie the game. If something into the gap could give the Dolphins their first lead of this game. And considering how they were down by 8 earlier on, I mentioned it early in this game, Joe, you never say never with this team, and they're fighting back once again.
Never count them out, and we've seen that on full display more than once this year. I think this would be the biggest deficit they've erased this season if they come back to win this game. We've seen the Dolphins both on the positive end and the negative end of a comeback already this year. It happened in the same doubleheader against Mercy. Down 7, came back to win, up 9, ended up losing that game. And it looks like we're going to have another pitching change here now. Was this due to injury?
I'm not sure.
I really don't know because, again, is that 2 batters again? I think it is. I think that's obviously allowed at the college level.
He faced 3.
He did face 3?
He faced the 3, yeah.
So maybe you have to face 3 if you come in during the inning? Not sure.
Not sure either.
Either way, another call to the bullpen for Adelphi, and with that, we will step aside and take a quick break. The Dolphins have the bases loaded, nobody out, and they have cut what was once an 8-run deficit down to 2.
In NCAA Division II, student athletes leave a lasting impression on their communities. That's because Division II student athletes want to make a difference and truly be part of their surrounding communities. Through community engagement, thousands of student athletes from various backgrounds interact with community members who view them as role models. This interaction leaves a positive and perhaps even life-changing impression on all those involved. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
Michael Flashner to the plate for the Dolphins with the bases loaded and nobody out. The Dolphins are within 2 runs. They trailed this game 8-0. It is now 9-7, and Flashner takes high, ball 1.
It's been a very tough inning for the Panthers, Joe. A couple of walks. Waterman had that big 2-run double, and now all of a sudden bases loaded, and there is still nobody out in the inning here for CSI.
Cam Letourneau, the new pitcher for Adelphi, and that's fouled straight back.
Flashner had a single his last time up into left field. Does it again right here. He'll tie the game.
Letourneau inherits what appears to be an impossible spot right now. Bases loaded, nobody out. If he could find a way out of this with the lead, that would be a masterful job of pitching.
And for him, this is his 5th appearance only on the season, so he has not pitched much so far this year for Adelphi.
He's behind here 2-1, and if he misses again, he is in an incredibly tough spot, already in a tough position. Need to come at Flashner here. And Flashner fouls back another.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the quote-unquote no man's land if you're in a situation where with nobody, no open bases, you don't want to walk in the run.
2-2 the count. Pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. And Letorno sets down Flashner swinging for a huge first out.
Letorno with a monster strikeout right there, Joe. His 6th strikeout of the season. An all-important first out, and now they are just a double play ball away from getting out of the inning.
The Panthers would love to turn 2 here. Chris Bartnick, the batter. Bartnick 0 for 3 in this game. Man on deck, Nico Rodriguez 2 for 3. And Bartnick takes a big cut and misses for strike 1.
Looked like he was maybe a second behind in that fastball. Quickly behind the count 0-1.
Well, the important thing for Letorno here, he's come out and he's found the strike zone. Fell behind 2-1, came back to get Flashner. Ahead 0-1 on Bartnick. That misses outside.
If you're CSI, you would at least like to get one more run. You've already gotten 2 in the inning. If you can at least get one more in this spot, they would certainly take that.
The 1-1. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
Again, Bartnick looked like he was just a second behind on that one. Now he's in danger of striking out, giving the Panthers now 2 outs in the inning.
1-2 the count on Bartnick. Bases still loaded, 1 out. Dolphins trail by a pair. Base hit could tie the game. And that's it out to left. Falling fast. The catch is made. Heading home is Hunter, and he will score. It's a sacrifice fly for Chris Bartnick, and the Dolphins are within a run. It's 9-8.
Gotta give credit to Rengifo. Did you see the effort he made on that throw towards the plate, having to try to dive and make sure it wasn't too far off line? But regardless, give Hunter credit as well, Joe, because we saw him get injured earlier on in the inning. He was able to run that one down and just get safe, and now makes this a 1-run game, 9-8.
Well, if you're the Panthers, you'll take that. Strikeout, sacrifice fly, the tying run still in scoring position at second, and Nico Rodriguez looks at strike 1.
Rodriguez has had himself a nice night here at the plate. Another base hit for him right here will tie the game at 9.
Count 0-1 on Rodriguez. He takes high, 1-1.
If he can get on base, then it's back to the top of the lineup as well for the Dolphins. So it's an all-important at bat right here for both sides.
The 1-1. Breaking ball out of the zone, 2-1. Letorno comes set and delivers the 2-1. And at the knees, 2-2.
He's now 1 strike away. If you end that final out and keeping his team up by a run heading into the 8th inning.
One huge pitch away from keeping Adelphi in front. The Dolphins hoping to turn this back over to the top of the lineup. The 2-2. Fouled away. Rodriguez has had some good at-bats tonight. As I mentioned before, he's already 2 for 3. Looking for a huge third hit right here at the very least. He needs to find a way on to keep this inning alive. The 2-2. Hit in the air, down the right field line. And the catch is made in foul ground. Once again, Picone on the move makes the grab in the Adelphi bullpen. Dolphins strand 3, make it 2, but they do score 3. And it's now a 1-run ball game. Our score, Adelphi 9, Staten Island 8.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials, check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
Matt Ryan will lead things off for the Panthers here in the road eighth. As the Dolphins have gone to the bullpen once again, Anthony Fusco, the new pitcher. And Fusco misses high with the first pitch breaking ball, 1-0.
Give credit to the Dolphins bullpen so far in this game, Joe. They are a huge reason why they've gotten back into this one. Now trailing by just a run here in this eighth inning.
That's hit in the air a mile high out to right field. The wind has finally calmed down a bit as Kehoe makes the catch.
2 pitches, 1 out right there for Fusco to start off this eighth.
The shortstop, number 45, Jack Wishner.
Now we'll bring up Jack Wishner. Wishner 3 for 3 in this game. He is the only batter for either team that has not yet been retired.
And he's made some good plays at shortstop as well defensively in this one. He's had an all-around good night.
Can't ask for much more out of him if you're the Panthers. Comes the 1-0. And that's a breaking ball inside, 2-0. There's a called strike, 2-1. That's it out to right center, hit pretty well. And Wishner's now 4 for 4. He has himself an extra base hit, and he will pull into second base standing with a 1-out double.
Wishner just continues to keep hitting in this one, Joe. You mentioned it now, 4 for 4 on the night, and now gets another extra base hit there and puts a runner in scoring position as Adelphi tries to regain and get a more sizable lead in this one with 1 out still here in this inning.
We're going to have a pinch hitter in this spot.
Number 23, Johnny Katusko.
Johnny Katusko, the pinch hitter. Runner in scoring position here for Adelphi, and a base hit here to get a run back would be really big for the Panthers. And they turn to Katusko, who takes high ball 1.
Big spot for Katusko coming into this game, as you mentioned, and he's having a nice season as well for this Panther team. First time this season he has not started a game.
You see that sometimes in the non-conference games, especially later in the season. If there's ever a day that you give some players off, that's the game. Sometimes classes factor in. Sometimes you're just giving a player an off day, as that was booted it short. And the Panthers now have 2 on with 1 out. Third error for the Dolphins.
That's the 4th error, Joe.
Scoreboard a bit slow. I take back everything nice I said about Lou.
All those kind words earlier. It's back to the roadkill.
Yep, back under the bus for the scoreboard operator. He can't escape our wrath, whether he's statistician or scoreboard operator.
Yep.
C.J. Picone at the plate here, and he's had an adventurous day out in right field, to say the least.
Yeah, to say the least is for sure.
He's been everywhere in that right field corner. At the plate, he's 0 for 3. 2 on, 1 out for Picone. And he hits one well out to left. And that will fall in front of Waterman. Runner held at third. I thought for sure that they were about to wave Wishner home, but with 1 out, they elect not to. And now it will be Eric Dugnan coming to the plate with the bases loaded and 1 out in a 1-run game.
It's a big spot as well, considering the fact that he's the number 9 here in the order. If he gets on,
it will not be him. They've called him back. He was in the box, Nick.
He was. Well, irregardless, it's the number 9 here in the order. So if he gets on, it's back to the top of the lineup, and we'll now see a mound visit here for the Dolphins. Could they maybe go to the bullpen with the lefty coming up?
Pinch hitter is going to be Alex Rendy. Now, I know, at least I think, that capital D-E is D. Will Joe pronounce it Rendy or Rende?
Rende. I think has he made the announcement?
He is not.
Okay. Well, he might have to make the pitching announcement first, since it looks like Michael Santoriello is going to come in.
So I will make sure that he pronounces the name correctly.
Okay.
And we will be right back as a pinch hitter is coming in a huge spot for Adelphi. The Dolphins will answer with a pitching change. Michael Santoriello takes the mound when we come back.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials. Live music. And the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dining order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Pinch hitter for the Panthers here in a huge spot. It's Alex Rendy, and he swings and misses at the first pitch he sees from Michael Santoriello. And Nick, how often do you see a bullpen match a left-handed bat with a left-handed thrower?
Not very often, but that's the pros and cons of sometimes pinch hitting. The pro, obviously, you want to get the better matchup with the lefty versus righty, perhaps, but the Dolphins had a lefty warming up in Santoriello, and they were able to make the pitching change after they the pinch hitter, was announced. So now Santoriello, who we mentioned earlier on tonight as a potential guy that could give the Dolphins a couple of innings on the accompanying weekend for their conference games, comes into this big spot with bases loaded and still one out.
And the 1-1 misses outside, 2-1. I think in this spot, Nick, you're okay with anything except a walk.
Right.
Do not hit the batter, do not walk the batter, and do not throw a wild pitch. Make the Panthers earn their next run, however they may do that.
And if you look towards third base, Weigel kind of playing in a little bit towards the grass. Now he'll move back maybe a little bit towards the bag, and that will be indeed the case. So now the count even at 2. They were expecting maybe a bunt to start this at bat.
Santoriello looking for a huge third strike right here as the Dolphins try and keep this a one-run game. And that's it out to right, and that will be over Kehoe's head. It rolls to the base of the fence. 2 runs will come in to score, and they will hold the runner on third. That is Picone. It is a 2 RBI double for the pinch hitter Alex Rendy, and the Panthers now lead it 11-8.
Rendy comes off the bench, Joe, delivers a crucial hit in this game, a 2-run double, getting back the runs that the Dolphins got back in the previous half inning. They now lead by 3, and it's back to the top of the lineup for the Panthers.
That's really a backbreaker for the Dolphins, Nick. They fought their way back to within a run. It looked like they were poised for more in that last half inning. They didn't come through, and we'll see if they get the out at home here. They will not on the bobble, but they do get Eden at first. It's now 12-8 on the RBI ground out. Moving up to third is Rendy.
I think at least the Dolphins were able to get the out on that play. As Rengifo comes up with 2 away. Here's a replay at that previous 2-run double.
That's it well out to right, up into the wind. Kehoe moving back to the warning track, and he's got it. And that will do it for the Panthers here in the 8th. But not before Adelphi gets back the 3 runs they allowed in the 7th. Their lead back to 4. Our score, the Panthers 12 and the Dolphins 8.
The Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
We are back from the CSI Baseball Complex, once again with a 4-run ball game. Dolphins scored 3 in the 7th. The Panthers add 3 in the 8th. It's now 12-8 Adelphi over Staten Island. And there's a big swing and a miss by Chris Palomini.
Top of the line for the Dolphins up here in the 8th inning, Joe. But once again, trailing by 4 runs after Adelphi got those 3 runs back in the top half of this inning.
It looked like the Dolphins might have a chance to get out of it. They could not.
And it's a big testament to Adelphi keeping that lead, keeping in mind with the situation that they had. It was a 9-7 game with the bases loaded and still nobody out. They were able to escape the inning with still the lead at 9-8.
It looked like the Dolphins were poised to go in front. And then in the next half inning, it looked like the Dolphins might be able to limit the damage or perhaps escape the inning unscathed. Santoriello was one big strike away from getting Alex Rendy the pinch hitter. Instead, Rendy drove home 2 with a double. Ultimately, 3 come in to score as that misses high to Palomini off the catcher's glove, 2-2.
Cantlay Torno back out for another inning of relief. Came into that spot where it was 9-7 and nobody out. Got a couple big strikeouts. Kept this game 9-8 heading into the top half of the 8th.
Palomini hits one in the air deep to right field toward the corner, and that ball's off the fence. Palomini racing for second. He takes the turn, headed for third, and he will slide in safely with a leadoff triple.
Well, Picone, we've talked about all night, Joe, has had himself a night in terms of trying to track some of these balls down, but this one was another one that just kept carrying out to right field. I thought for a second could have been a home run for Palomini and almost hit it, as you mentioned, just off the fence. But it's a leadoff triple to start off the 8th inning, and now Jack Keel will come up.
And that ball just seemed to carry forever, Nick. I was waiting for that ball to come down. I didn't even see it land.
Yeah.
But it landed, I believe, off the fence. It was awfully close to leaving. And now Jack Kehoe comes to the plate with a chance to make this a 3-run game as he fouls back the first pitch into the seats, 0-1. Kehoe 1 for 3 at the plate in this game. Has also drawn a walk. The 0-1. In for a strike, 0-2.
Action once again going up in the Adelphi bullpen. Hoping that Torno can at least keep them up ahead. Was in danger early on with after that leadoff triple.
Count now 0-2. That's outside, 1-2. Kehoe just stayed alive there.
And a lunge in to try to make contact with that one.
AJ Vigliotti better watch out there in the on-deck circle.
Yeah. So we'll do it again on 1-2.
And again, Kehoe fights that one off foul.
That one almost getting caught in the tree. We saw that happen at softball a couple days ago.
The question is, who is willing to climb the tree and get the ball?
I don't know. Very well, that ball could still be in the tree.
After the win today, I don't think so.
That is true.
The 1-2. Swung on and missed. Kehoe can run to first. And the throw is in time to complete the putout.
Yeah, Torno got him to chase on that one in the dirt. That's a huge strikeout for him, and gets another one in relief. He's done a good job so far for the Panthers in this game.
If he can keep this run from scoring at third base, that would be yet another tremendous job of pitching. AJ Vigliotti, the batter here. And he pops that one up foul. Vigliotti 1 for 3 at the plate in this game. He takes down and away 1-1.
Following Vigliotti, it's back to Hunter. When you mentioned it, Dolphins definitely need to try at least get that runner home from third. Try to cut into the deficit before the ninth inning starts.
And that's it out to right, deep enough to get the run in. Here comes Palomini. Great throw to the plate, but not in time. It's a sacrifice fly for A.J. Vigliotti, and the Dolphins are back to within 3. It's 12-9.
Yeah, Vigliotti gets the productive out with that sacrifice fly into right field. Now a 12-9 game, but once again, Letorno, after giving up the leadoff triple, is now 1 out away from once again working out of a jam. It will be up to J.J. Hunter to try to spark a 2-out rally for the Dolphins.
Dolphins trailing by 3 here in the 8th. They are within striking distance. However, they will have the bottom half of the order due up in the 9th. That pitch ends up at the backstop, 1-0. Hunter is 1 for 3 in this game. A base hit, an RBI, a walk. That misses down and away. 7 of the 9 Dolphins starters have a hit, and 8 of them have reached base. If you consider a fielder's choice reaching base, does that count as reaching base in the stats?
Not in the stats, but...
Well, all 9 Dolphins have been standing on a base at one point or another in this game, and it was Bartnick who reached on a fielder's choice. I never quite thought about that. Does it count as reaching base if you reach on a fielder's choice?
I don't know. I don't think so, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
That's not the way you want to reach.
Right.
And the 3-0 to Hunter is in for a strike. It's 3-1 on Hunter. Chopper to short. Wishner's got it. And that will do it for the Dolphins in the 8th inning. CSI tacks on a run. They are back to within 3. We head to the 9th. Adelphi over Staten Island, 12-9.
Campuses nationwide, the NCAA is making transformative changes for student athletes. While they pursue their biggest dreams, we're launching new initiatives to help them. Life-changing education opportunities are just the start. The NCAA is providing enhanced mental health services. We're guaranteeing scholarships and tuition and expanding access to healthcare. Visit ncaa.org/change to learn more.
Jack Tate will lead off for the Panthers in the road ninth. As that's grounded foul, and the Dolphins have gone to the bullpen once again. And Michael First will get an inning of relief here in the ninth. One of the Dolphins' expected starters this weekend against Stack.
I'll have to look back to see when Michael First's last appearance was.
He's ahead quickly against Tate 0-2 here.
That was back against Mercy on the third.
It's now 1-2.
That's right. He started in that game that we've been talking about all night pretty much, that 18-16 game.
That was some game. We'll be talking about that for a while.
Yeah.
Count 2-2 now.
And we have mentioned that, you mentioned as well, that at some point this weekend he will get a start in one of those games against Stack, most likely. Question is going to be which game will it be? Maybe the inning of relief here tonight. Try to get him on track for that start this upcoming weekend.
It's still 2-2 here on Tate. And it's not too surprising with the series taking place over several days this weekend to see him get some work in on Tuesday. We would presume that Ryan Kehoe will start Thursday. That's the first game of the series. We're then scheduled to play 2 on Saturday here at CSI, and in all likelihood, First would start one of those 2 games.
Of course, pay attention to all of our social media and pages as well.
I thought you were about to say our Patreon.
No. To make sure about the status of that game on Saturday.
There is inclement weather in the forecast. Stay locked in on the schedule page for the latest regarding any potential changes. And Tate draws the walk.
Well, First is in charge of trying to keep this game with the Dolphins down 3. If they can keep it 12-9, really good chance in the bottom half of the ninth inning to tie or potentially win the game. But now Pellegrino comes up with a runner on and nobody out.
Pellegrino in this game, 2 for 4, had that 3-run homer back in the first inning. And he looks at a strike, 0-1.
Effectively, right now, the difference of this game, that 3-run homer.
And the 0-1 tipped into Hunter's glove. 0-2 now. That's taken outside, 1-2.
The wind once again intensifies.
One, two. Foul back, right off the column. Doink.
That was definitely a doink right there. See action once again going up in the Dolphin bullpen as well.
That's at a mile high on the infield. Good luck with this one. The wind's still howling, and staying with it is the new Dolphin shortstop, Anthony Cetera.
Cetera gets inserted into the game and really makes that first down right there as they hold the runner at first base.
Matt Ryan will be the batter. Ryan 2 for 5 in this game. He'll step out of the box for a moment here. First pitch, swung on and missed, strike 1.
Another big swing and a miss right there from these Adelphi hitters this time. Ryan. It's quickly 0-1.
0-1. On the outside corner, 0-2. Check toward first by Michael First. Now the 0-2. Hit out toward right center field, hit well, and that will find the gap for an extra base hit. We'll see if they send the runner here. They will not, as the stop sign is put up for Tate over at third base. At second base, with a long double, is Matt Ryan, and he now has his third hit of the game. He's 3 for 6. That will bring up Jack Wishner, and he's already 4 for 4.
Yeah, and with the first base open, you gotta wonder if they're gonna try to pitch around him, Joe, potentially. With that bag open, as the infield for the Dolphins now moves in to try to prevent the run from scoring.
You have to do that here. Dolphins hoping to keep this deficit right where it is. And with 2 in scoring position now, they find themselves in a precarious spot where a well-placed or a hardly hit ground ball can score 2. That's in for a called strike. 1-1.
Wish we took a big swing and a miss on that one, trying to get his 5th hit of the night right there.
Did I say a called strike?
Yeah.
Shame on me. That's fouled away. First, 1 strike away from a big punch out here with 2 in scoring position. You really have to have it in this spot to keep this deficit where it is. As you mentioned before, first base is open. You have that to play with. Would prefer not to use it. Long look in here from first. He comes set for the 1-2. And that's blooped on the infield, caught by Rodriguez. And both runners have to hold.
Nice job for First right there. Got that pitch on the inside, was able to jam him a bit. And for the first time tonight, the Dolphins retire Wishner. And there's now 2 gone in the inning.
So that will bring up Katusko for his second plate appearance. Johnny Katusko 0 for 1 in his lone at bat, and he takes a strike.
Coming in tonight, was hitting .294 in the season. Just trying to bring home some insurance runs for the Panthers here in the 9th inning.
And that's it out to straightaway center. Palomini comes in and makes the sliding catch. And the Dolphins escape without allowing a run here in the 9th. It's a scoreless inning of relief for Michael First. He strands 2 in scoring position. Last chance for the Dolphins. They trail 12-9.
That's a timeout on betting. It completely changed the game, and you didn't even notice. Let me break it down for you. Betting ads are applying full court pressure and getting you to play the game. Many of you are falling for it and losing big money. Addiction is happening in some more than others. Now players are getting harassed by bettors. And we all know that's not how the game is won. So it's on us to be good teammates and draw the line to stay ahead of betting consequences.
Jaden Waterman leads off for the Dolphins in the bottom of the ninth. 3-run game here at the CSI Baseball Complex, and the Dolphins have the leadoff man on as Waterman lines his second hit of the game into left field.
His last 2 hits are coming off the first pitch of the at-bat as Letorno stays out there for the Panthers going for the save. And now early trouble with that leadoff single. The Dolphins are one more base runner away from bringing the tying run to the plate.
Chris Riley, the pinch runner at first. TJ Leno, the pinch hitter for the Dolphins, as they look to mount a rally here in the ninth inning. Cam Letorno back on the bump for Adelphi. There is action in the Panthers bullpen. First pitch to Leno, foul back.
We've already seen Rovner in this game. He leads the team with 4 saves. After that, 4 other pitchers on this staff have 1 save on the season.
I was about to say, Nick, did I have the wrong pitcher too? When you said we saw Rovner in this game, I didn't hear the beginning. I was about to say, I'm in shambles over here. It's 1-1 on TJ Leno. Leno was the starting second baseman for the Dolphins to begin the year. Hit for some power, but the average just wasn't there, as that's hit a mile high out to left center. And the catch is made there for out number 1.
Big out number 1 recorded for the Panthers, and for the first time tonight, we'll see Anthony Sotero now. Sotero, of course, came in that last inning as a defensive substitution. Now comes on with a runner on first, but 1 out now.
Check toward first by Letorno. Pitch to Sotero. A breaking ball in for a strike, and obviously this is a big at-bat for Sotero and the Dolphins, hoping to bring the tying run to the plate. That's really all you can ask for here in this inning. Give yourself a chance, preferably near the top of the lineup. And Sotero lines one to left, straight into the glove of the waiting left fielder, Katusko.
Backbreaker right there. Sotero had good contact on that one, but just right towards that left fielder. And the Dolphins now down to their final out in this game.
That's a bad break for the Dolphins right there, Nick. That was a well-struck ball, but it ends up in an outfielder's glove. You can't do much more than that. That one was smoked by Sotero. And now the Dolphins are down to their final out with Chris Bartnick. And Bartnick takes a big swing and comes up empty for strike 1.
Bartnick struck out his last time when he faced Letorno. So this is a big spot. If he can get on, as I mentioned, the tying run would come to the plate for the Dolphins with Nico Rodriguez on deck.
The 0-1, breaking ball strike. And Bartnick now behind 0-2. The Dolphins down to their final strike.
Letorno now 1 strike away from a really strong outing out of the bullpen for this Panthers team.
And the 0-2 misses inside. One, two. Swung on and missed for strike 3. And the Panthers have earned a split of the season series with the Dolphins, as each team takes 2 games in the 4-game season series. Dolphins return to action for the first time in 11 days and fall to the Panthers 12-9.
And, you know, the Dolphins made a great comeback in this game, Joe. They were down 8-0 early on. They were down then 9-3 later in the game. They got 3 runs in that 7th inning, but give your tip of the cap to Cam Letorno in this one. He's the difference maker, and the reason why the Panthers win this game comes into relief when the Panthers were leading 9-7 with the bases loaded and nobody out. He got out of the jam with just giving up the 1 run, kept it 9-8. The Panthers would get some insurance runs to make it 12-8. Dolphins cut it to 12-9. They couldn't cut it any further. It's a big win for Adelphi. They now even their record, not only against the Dolphins this season, but they even their record on the season as well. It's 17-17. Dolphins fall into 12-23 with some big conference games upcoming this weekend.
Big conference games, to put it mildly, Nick. The Dolphins, with a strong performance this weekend, can really put themselves in great position to secure a playoff spot in the East Coast Conference. As we mentioned earlier, taking 3 or 4 against the Spartans really sets them up for success when it comes to clinching a playoff spot and gives them some margin for error heading into that final conference series of the season against the Uville here at the CSI Baseball Complex. But until Friday, when we head down the hill to the softball diamond, this has been Joe Foreman alongside Nicholas Bavona on the call. Once again, our final score tonight, the Panthers 12 and the Dolphins 9. Our next broadcast, CSI Softball. On Friday, the Dolphins host Queens College over at the softball complex. Be sure to monitor our schedule pages for both baseball and softball over at csidolphins.com for any updates to the schedule, as there is inclement weather in the forecast this weekend. Everyone enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night, and thanks for watching.